The tax refund trap. Picture this. It's February, your phone buzzes, and there it is, 1,800 bucks back from the IRS. You feel like you just won something, like the government reached into a drawer and handed you a gift. Most people I know treat that money like it fell from the sky. New shoes, a weekend trip, a weed pen, and a sushi run, gone in 11 days. But here's the part nobody tells you. That refund, that wasn't a gift. That was your money, the whole time. You loaned the federal government roughly $1,500 to $2,000 over 12 months, interest-free, and they handed it back with a smile and zero apology. Meanwhile, that same money, sitting in a high-yield savings account at 5%, would have made you around 50 bucks. Sitting in an index fund, maybe 200. You essentially paid the government to babysit your cash and you thanked them for it. Now multiply that by 10 years, 20 years. That's not a refund. That's a slow leak in your financial pipes. People who actually build wealth in their 20s figure this out fast. They go to their HR department, adjust their W-4, and shrink that refund to almost nothing on purpose. Yeah, it feels weird at first. The April free money hit goes away. But every paycheck after that gets fatter. And that fatter paycheck, it goes into investments, not into the void. The mindset shift here is brutal. Your refund is not a bonus, it's a receipt. A receipt that says I gave the IRS an interest-free loan because I didn't want to do 5 minutes of math. Adjust your withholding, take the money back, put it to work. Because if you can't even keep your own money, you're definitely not going to grow somebody else's. And speaking of money disappearing into things that don't pay you back, let's talk about the next mistake, because this one's the one your future self will scream at you for. Imagine driving a brand new car off the lot at 23. The smell hits you. The screen glows. Some bank just handed you 40 grand at 6.9% interest, and you're vibing to a Spotify playlist called Made It. Now picture the same car 3 years later. It's worth maybe 22,000. You still owe 28. You're upside down on a vehicle that lost 10 grand in value while you were paying interest on the privilege of losing it. This is the trap, not the car itself. The structure of the deal. You took on debt to buy something whose entire job is to be worth less every month. That's the financial equivalent of paying rent on a melting ice cube. And it's not just cars. It's the iPhone you financed over 24 months because the Apple Store made it sound free. The leather couch from a furniture store at 29% APR. The Peloton you used for 6 weeks. All depreciating. All financed. Compare that to people who actually pull ahead. They finance the things that gain value or generate income, a house in a real market, a degree with actual earning power, a small business loan for something that produces, even an investment loan in a brokerage margin account if they know what they're doing. The asset works for them while they pay off the debt, and by the time the loan's done, the thing's worth more than they paid. The rule isn't never take on debt. The rule is never take on debt to buy something that goes down. Because the math doesn't lie. Every depreciating asset you finance is double billing you. You pay the loss in value plus the interest. That's 2 leaks at once. People who get rich young don't have a higher income than you. They just don't fund their own financial decline at 6 to 9%. Drive a paid-off used car for 10 years. Use the cash difference. The cash difference is the whole game. But the next mistake, this one's the silent killer. Most people make it without ever realizing it. Waiting until you have more money. Here's a sentence that's destroyed more wealth than every market crash combined. I'll start investing when I make more money. Sounds reasonable, sounds responsible even, like you're being patient, like you're being smart. But it's actually the most expensive sentence in personal finance, and I'm going to show you why with one number. A 22-year-old who invests 200 bucks a month into an S&P 500 index fund and stops at 30 ends up with more money at 65 than someone who starts at 30 and invests 200 a month every single month for the next 35 years. Read that again. The early person invested less total dollars, way less, about 19 grand versus 84 grand, and still ended up richer by a lot. That's not magic. That's compound interest doing what it does when you give it time. Time is the rocket fuel, money is just the cargo. And every year you wait to start is a year that doesn't get added to the engine, and you can't buy it back later, no matter how big your salary gets at 35. The lie buried inside "I'll start when I have more" is that the amount matters more than the start. It doesn't. 50 bucks a month at 22 beats 500 a month at 32 by a wide margin over a 40-year horizon. The math is so brutal it almost feels unfair. But that's the system. The only entry fee is showing up early. And here's the kicker. The people who say, I don't have enough to invest yet, are usually the same people dropping 60 bucks a week on stuff they won't remember in 3 days. It's not a money problem, it's a friction problem. Open a Fidelity or Schwab account. 20 minutes. Set up an automatic $10 weekly transfer into VTI or VOO. That's it. You've now started. The amount can grow later. The clock is what matters. Speaking of free money, there's one specific source most people walk right past while complaining they're broke, skipping the 401k match. Your employer offers a 401k match. You ignore it. You think, I'll deal with retirement when I'm older. Meanwhile, your boss is literally standing there with a pile of cash going, you want this? All you have to do is take it, and you walk past. Every paycheck. For years. Let me actually break this down so it lands. A typical match looks like we'll match 100% of what you contribute up to 4% of your salary. If you make 60 grand a year, that's $2,400 in free money every single year that you only get if you put in 2,400 yourself. You don't put it in, your boss keeps theirs. The match doesn't go in a vault. It just doesn't happen. 2,400 a year, invested in index funds for 40 years at average market returns, becomes somewhere around $450,000. That's not a typo. Not contributing to your match isn't saving for later. It's leaving $450,000 on the table because you didn't want to fill out a form on the HR portal. I've heard every excuse. I can't afford it. I'll start next year. What if the market crashes? Look, your contribution is pre-tax, which means you don't even feel the full hit. If you contribute $100, your paycheck only drops by like 75 because you'd have paid the rest in income tax anyway. And the match? That's an instant 100% return. You will never, and I mean never, find another investment that returns 100% the day you make it. That's a unicorn. And companies are handing them out at HR onboarding while people scroll past it. If your job offers a match and you're not capturing at least the full match amount, you are actively choosing to be poor, not a metaphor, a literal financial choice you're making every 2 weeks. Go log into your benefits portal today, set the contribution to whatever percentage hits the max match, done. You just gave your future self a 6-figure raise. Now, the next mistake is the one that catches even smart people, even people who do everything else right. Lifestyle inflation after every raise. You finally got the raise. 12 grand more a year. You earned it. You worked weekends, you stayed late, you put up with that one coworker who thinks Slack is for trauma dumping. The check hits, and within 90 days, somehow, nothing changed. Your savings rate is the same. Your stress is the same. The only difference is now you have a nicer apartment and 3 more streaming services you don't watch. This is lifestyle inflation. And it's the reason people making $150,000 a year still live paycheck to paycheck. It's not income, it's expansion. Every time more money comes in, the lifestyle quietly expands to absorb it. The car gets nicer, the takeout gets fancier, the I deserve this purchases multiply, and the savings rate? Frozen at the same percentage it was when you made 45 grand right out of school. The wealthy do something different. When they get a raise, the new money is invisible to them. They keep living on the old salary and route the entire raise, or at least 75% of it, directly into investments. The lifestyle stays the same. The wealth gap widens. They feel no different month to month, but their net worth is sprinting while everyone else's is jogging in place. There's a specific tactic for this. Before the raise hits your account, set up an automatic transfer that pulls the new amount straight into your brokerage or savings the day after payday. You never see it. You never feel it. You can't miss what doesn't land in checking. It's the same trick your gym uses with auto billing, except this time it's working for you instead of against you. And here's the brutal truth about lifestyle inflation. The relief you feel from a small upgrade lasts about 3 weeks. Then it becomes the new normal and you need another upgrade to feel anything. That's the treadmill. The only way off is to stop running on it. But none of this works if you don't have the foundation underneath. And the foundation is the one piece most 20-somethings dangerously skip. No emergency fund. Here's a story that plays out in millions of lives. Car breaks down, repair is $1,200. You need the car for work. You don't have $1,200, so you put it on a credit card at 24% APR. You can only afford the minimum payment. 2 years later, you've paid almost $2,000 for that $1,200 repair. And you're still carrying a balance because life kept punching. That's the doom loop. And it's not a poverty thing, it's a structure thing. People making 6 figures fall into it just as easily because nobody told them an emergency fund isn't a savings goal, it's the foundation of everything else. Without it, every minor emergency becomes a debt event. With it, emergencies become inconveniences. Same event, completely different financial outcome. The number you want is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account, not invested, not in stocks, not in some clever DeFi protocol, just sitting there, boring, waiting, liquid, accessible the same day you need it. For most people in their 20s, that's somewhere between 5 and 15 grand depending on rent and lifestyle. Sounds like a lot? It is. That's the point. It's supposed to be enough that real life can't knock you off your path. Here's where people screw this up. They start the fund, get to like $3,000, then borrow from it for a vacation, a wedding, a new TV. The fund never finishes. 6 months later, the car breaks again, the fund's empty, and they're back on the credit card. The emergency fund only works if you treat it like a fire extinguisher, there for fires, not for impulse decisions you wanted to dress up as emergencies. Build it before you invest aggressively. Build it before you upgrade your life. Build it before anything else. Because the difference between getting wealthy and getting trapped is one bad month, and whether you have a buffer that catches you or a credit card that sells you debt at 24%. That buffer is the single most boring, most important financial structure you'll ever own. And once that's solid, there's one last mistake I see crushing people, and it's the one the algorithm rewards the most: trying to time the market. Open any finance corner of TikTok or YouTube and you'll see 22-year-olds explaining the perfect entry point on some random stock. Charts, patterns, watch this level, confident faces, big claims, and 9 times out of 10, those same people are broke 6 months later because they discovered something Wall Street figured out decades ago. Timing the market is a loser's game, even for professionals. Here's the data. Across multiple long-term studies, more than 90% of professional fund managers, people with PhDs, Bloomberg terminals, and $100 million tech budgets, fail to beat a basic S&P 500 index fund over 20 years, 90%. These are the smartest, best-equipped, most informed traders on the planet, and a boring automatic low-fee index fund beats them. Now ask yourself, what makes you think you're going to do better with Robinhood and a podcast? The thing nobody tells you about market timing is that you have to be right twice. Right when you sell and right when you buy back in. Miss either side and you've torched your returns. And here's the kicker. Historical data shows that missing just the 10 best days in the market over a 30-year period cuts your total return roughly in half. Just 10 days out of decades. And those 10 best days, they almost always happen during the scariest moments, right after crashes when everyone's panic selling. The exact moments market timers are running for the exits. The boring strategy is the one that wins. Buy a broad index fund, VTI, VOO, VTSAX, take your pick. Set up an automatic monthly contribution. Don't check the price. Don't read the news. Don't sell when it dips. Just keep buying for the next 40 years. That's it. That's the entire winning playbook. The reason it works is that you're betting on the long-term productivity of the entire global economy, not on a single company, a single sector, or a single moment. People who try to time the market are trying to be smart. People who actually get rich just refuse to be dumb. There's a difference, and it's the difference between a comfortable retirement and a lifetime of almost made it stories. So that's the 7. Tax refunds you treat like gifts. Financing things that lose value, waiting to start, skipping the match, lifestyle inflation, no buffer, trying to outsmart the market. Each one feels small in the moment. Stack them across a decade and they're the difference between 35 with a real net worth and 35 wondering where the time went. If this rewired anything in how you think about money, drop a follow. There's more like it coming. And tell me in the comments, which one of these 7 are you guilty of right now? Be honest. The one you don't want to admit is usually the one costing you the most.